Hello, Instagram, and welcome to the Trishlyn Show. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a great day and start to your week so far. Today we are talking about food as medicine with a background in nutrition. I love this topic because so many people don't realize the benefits of nutrition when it comes to actually healing your body and all of the other things. So excited to dive into this and... Eventually. There we go.
Hey.
Like, eventually Instagram's gonna bring her on. It says it's coming, but you never know. Welcome to the Trishlyn Show, and thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So for our viewers, Sammy is a registered nutritionist, intuitive eating coach, a science teacher, a yoga teacher, and a Reiki healer. Sammy combines the powerful holistic triad of science, psychology, and spirituality in her business, Natural Nutrition. Food as medicine underpins her ethos of healing metabolic disease using natural nutrition. No fad diets or restrictive plans, just whole plant-based foods that make you feel amazing for life. And I love this because there's so much power in what we use to fuel our bodies with. And it's still a conversation that is so, in my mind, small. It's not had enough. A lot of people are not recognizing it's slowly becoming more and more, but it's not fully recognized yet, just the power that food has to naturally help heal our bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've forgotten that our bodies are very capable of looking after themselves and healing themselves, given the right nutrition, given the right environment and the right circumstances. And unfortunately, a lot of the nutritional choices that we're faced with on a daily basis, if we're out at work or not at home, not able to prepare our own food, is very much food that does not promote health. It's food that actually promotes inflammation, and inflammation generally, if it becomes chronic, it's the start of disease. And so this is what I'm really trying to spread the word about, is that if we can just learn a few quite simple things about food, it can make a massive difference to your health, and not just like how you feel physically, but also your mental health as well. Health isn't just about our body and our body weight, which is what a lot of us have got drummed into us from years of diet culture and stuff like that. So yeah, so there's a really important message, I think, that needs to be spread. And you're right, it is spreading, like it is gradually kind of seeping out there, but it needs to be kind of, I think, faster, because we are in a pandemic of obesity and metabolic disease. Actually, it's not just in Western countries now, it's in less developed countries as well. So we need to really kind of do something drastic, I think, soon to change things.
Yeah. There's been, and I've noticed it, and maybe I notice it more and you notice it more. I have a background in nutrition as well, so
Mm.
there's a lot of pieces that I implement that a lot of people don't know or implement, and for me it's just become norm, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is what I do, this is how I eat. But there's still so many people who don't recognize or understand how many natural ways there are to heal your body. And it's funny that I didn't even kind of put two and two together before I jumped on here. And I made myself a tea, and I call this the kill everything tea, because my daughter's been sick. So I'm like, okay, like, she slept with me 2 nights ago. It's coming. It's gonna be my turn. Just germs, right? And it's got turmeric, cayenne, fresh ginger,
Yeah.
lemon juice, and cinnamon in it. I was gonna put honey, but I didn't, and it just literally gets to work.
Yeah.
All of those ingredients have their own properties that they bring healing in your body, and
Yeah.
it just literally, for me, kills everything that's not supposed to be in my system.
Yeah, exactly. It creates an anti-inflammatory environment, basically, which is what you're doing. Plus, you're giving your gut microbiome some really amazing chemicals as well, which a lot of people don't realize that actually your gut microbiome is like basically the root of your immune system. And
Yeah.
so if you don't have a healthy gut, then you're not going to have good immune health, and that's often one of the problems people have, is that they get sick a lot. And that is a real sign, that you're not able to fight things off easily. So, it's a sign that your gut isn't healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And medicinal foods are amazing. I mean, we've known about them for thousands of years as well, in Chinese traditional medicine, in Ayurvedic medicine, all of these kind of old, I know that they maybe aren't viewed in a very positive light, actually, in a lot of
Yeah.
times, but they have wisdom that we should really take note of, I think, and use. It should be kind of a sort of a complement, I think, to modern medicine.
Yeah.
They can work side by side. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
They both have their place, and if we can just consume these foods, which are whole foods, which are nourishing, and from the earth as well, then it's going to make a huge difference to people's health quite quickly. I see it every day. I start I have a 3-month program that I do with clients, called the Metabolic Awakening, and the first week of that is a detox.
Yeah.
But it's not a detox where you're sort of drinking weird things that you've never heard of. It's literally just stop eating processed food, get rid of any convenience foods, fast foods, things like that you're consuming, refined sugar, and even you don't even have to stop drinking coffee if you don't want to, because actually coffee is very nutritionally pretty good. But get rid of those and replace those foods with whole foods, with foods that are nourishing, and they're going to fill you up. They're going to give your gut microbiome loads of fiber, which they absolutely love. They're going to have a big party in there and start to really kind of proliferate the healthy ones. And then that's just going to set you up. And I see massive shifts in people in just 7 days when they do that. And they can't believe it. They're just like, wow, I can't believe all these changes are happening so fast, so it really does make a huge difference. And we underestimate it so much, the importance of diet and health, even though there is now a huge movement towards educating the public about it more and stuff. I still think that there's a big underlying kind of belief that actually you can do what you want, it doesn't matter, and that's what we need to change.
It's very much I love that, because it is how quickly just removing the processed crap out of your diet can change everything for your body. Removing all of the sugars can change, and drinking more water. There's so much simplicity in just drinking your water, and a lot of people don't do it. They're like, no, I don't. Well, you have a headache. Well, how much water do you drink?
Exactly. You need to get one of these.
Right? Well,
that's what I always have.
Well, maybe you should be drinking more water, and it would help your headaches go away, because when you get dehydrated, you get a headache. And there's just so many simple things that a lot of people I don't want to say they don't know, because the thing is, a lot of this knowledge is known, but it's not implemented.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that it's easier to do other things. It's not so easy to carry a water bottle with you and try and find somewhere to fill it up with filtered water, but it is easy to go to a store and buy a bottle of Coke Zero, which is supposedly sugar free and better for you, but actually it's not.
I don't
that's a whole other
drink
thing.
pop. I don't drink pop at all. I've never been able to. I can't do the carbonation, and I am a water snob. I cannot drink tap water. It has to be bottled water, and I'm a little specific on the types of bottles of water, but it's water. And if you can go to the store and buy a can of pop, you can go to the store and buy a bottle of water. It's all available to you, and it's what you're choosing and in the choice. And there's so many healthy choices now available to us, but we are so programmed to going for what's quick. Going for what we're known to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're sort of getting into the sort of the theory of why we eat what we eat. Why do we eat like this? Why are we making these choices? And one of the very important parts for me is the psychology of that. And like you said at the beginning, the science, I love the science. I've been a science teacher for 15 years, and now I'm a nutritionist, and that's really interesting for me. But also I went through my own kind of journey with food and having an eating disorder, and coming through that and understanding that it's so much about this, so much about the programming that we've received as children, how our parents have modeled food and eating to us, the society we've lived in, the culture that we were brought up in, all these kind of things that we were exposed to as young people, and all of that forms our relationship with food and our relationship with our bodies as well. And it's also to do with things like self-esteem and self-care, and how do we, like, do we value our, do we respect our bodies, do we actually care? Some people don't care
Yeah.
about eating these foods, they just don't, they don't want to care. And you sort of starting to unpick that and understanding that you have a relationship with food
Well,
is the first step.
in that, and the some people don't care. Some people think that they deserve to eat the shitty foods because yeah, they like them, okay, but I worked hard all week, so I deserve this.
Yeah.
That's a really shitty attitude to have, because yeah, you've worked hard all week. Why not fuel your body? There are so many healthy alternatives to the garbage that's out there
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can learn. And I say this in the nicest way, because you can learn to like something different instead of what you're used to and the garbage that you're used to.
Yeah,
And a
exactly.
lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to, and they want to
Yeah.
then continue to complain about why they're not feeling great, or why they're feeling the way they're feeling. Yet everything starts, your mindset, your outlook on, like, your outlook on life. So many pieces start
Yeah.
at that foundational level of what are you fueling your body with.
Exactly. And I think there's also, a big kind of misunderstanding as well, that, these foods are so widely available
Yeah.
that people think that they must be fine. So they must be okay because everybody's eating them.
Yeah.
There isn't that kind of awareness of actually, like, is this food, what is this doing to me?
Yeah.
And, there's this sort of labeling of, big pharma, and then we've got big food now. This is kind of being like a buzzword that's coming out in the UK anyway. I don't know if it's over in America as well. But, the idea that these massive corporations are developing these foods because they want to make money out of us. They don't care about your health.
No.
They don't really care, like, if you get better from a disease or not. They just want you to keep taking the medication to mask the symptoms of whatever
Yeah.
you're suffering with. They want you to keep eating the food that's keeping you sick so that you still need the medication.
Yeah.
And they just want to get as much money out of you as possible. And then they tell you to go on a diet, which, lasts for, I don't know, like maybe 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. And then you fall off the wagon
Yeah.
and you feel terrible about yourself because you can't stick to a diet because it's too restrictive. And you end up kind of overeating to compensate and binging and actually gaining more weight, and then you get stuck in this dieting cycle as well. So it's all part of like a bigger picture as well.
Yeah.
I think as individual consumers, we are kind of at like the bottom end of it, and then there's the top end where these huge corporations are kind of making all these decisions and creating all these products for
Yeah.
us. And we have to develop an awareness to ask ourselves, do we want to be in that? Are we choosing to be in that loop, or are we going to step out of that and make a different choice? Because that's basically the way I see is you've got two choices really. Do you make your food choices for health and eat whole foods and look after your body, or do you make the choices that everybody else is making and that are going to kind of keep you in that loop, so that you end up in a situation where you're suffering with a serious disease and you need medication to manage that? Or they tell you need medication to manage that, but actually you might not. Not always, but certain dietary related diseases you can heal with just changing your diet and changing your lifestyle. Yeah.
I like 100% completely agree with all of that, because it is all in a choice. And it's sad that the quick choices, and not actually anymore, but the quick choices are the cheaper option most of the time, versus going for the healthy route. And a lot of people, when I was coaching nutrition, a lot of people would say, well, I don't know what to shop. And my advice was always, shop the outside aisles. Anything that's on those inside aisles, aside from like your beans and stuff,
Yeah.
you don't need.
No,
And
exactly. Anything that's in like a shiny packet, with lots of bright colors and an ingredients list that's like longer than an essay, that's the stuff you've got to avoid. And it is a process. Like, it takes time to learn these things. When I work with people, I minimum 3 months I work with them, and it's about educating them as well, and teaching them what to look for, like what to look for on labels, the types of foods they need to be consuming and why they need to consume them, like what's the health reasons for it. And it's the way that we eat and our relationship with food is very, very ingrained, like deeply ingrained in us, like I said before, from like a very young age. And so changing our behavior patterns around food is a challenge, You know, it's difficult and it's rewarding, but you have to go through like the tough time first
Yeah.
to get to the other side of it. And the good thing is that you, when you first start changing, you see quite a big change in your health very quickly. You know, your behavior takes a bit longer to catch up. Like it takes longer to change this than
Yeah.
it does to change the body. So, you know, you have to give it time and you have to be patient. And it is frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's a journey. And, you know, it sounds like you've been on that as well. And, you know, the more you get into it, this is what I see with my clients. They get so into food. They're like really interested in like different types of foods and like
Yeah.
how, you know, nutrition. They start reading, they start listening to podcasts, and it becomes like an interest for like a hobby in a way. And that's a beautiful thing, you know,
Yeah.
to see somebody develop this interest in their health is amazing, and you can completely change your life around
Yeah.
really, really quite quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just removing the processed foods or frozen foods. And I remember when my ex and I were still together, he loves the quick frozen meals that you throw in the oven.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're so full of garbage. And I refuse to buy them. I won't buy them because now the kids are like, well, what do you have that's quick? I'm like, nothing. We have to take the meat out. It's frozen. Like,
Yeah.
I will not buy frozen. I will buy a frozen pizza. That's about it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many extra ingredients in them
Yeah.
that our bodies can't even process. And a lot of people, I don't think even recognize that aspect is our bodies don't process these chemicals that are being put in our food. And it's
Exactly.
something like you begin to go down a rabbit hole. So for me, like right now, I am in the process of trying to find coffee cream that doesn't have all of these extra ingredients in it. And I never paid attention to it. And I was scrolling on social media and I saw it and I was like, holy shit, I wonder what's in my coffee cream. So I went
Yeah.
and looked, like, and I drink, like, I live off coffee. Coffee is like, I just hook up an IV and I'd be good to go. But I never realized, I knew that cream wasn't the best, but I never realized all the
Yeah.
extra ingredients that are in
Yeah.
it. And now I'm literally on a hunt, and I can't find it in grocery stores, so I've got to start looking local for coffee cream that is simple, no extra sugars, no extra this, and this, because I don't want that. I want cream.
Yeah. Can you not just buy cream like and use that, or is it powdered? Like what are you talking about? I'm not sure what coffee cream you mean.
Oh, hold on. No, I threw it out this morning.
All
I ran
right.
out this morning and I threw the package out. So it's just like a hold on. I have whipping cream that also has extra ingredients in it. Welcome our viewers. You are getting a real live example here of the shit that's in your food. So this is just a whipping cream.
Yeah.
And instead of it just having, dairy in it, we've got cream, milk, carrageenan, I can't even fucking say this word, carrageenan, cellulose gum, polysorbate 80, sodium citrate, disodium phosphate.
Yeah. A lot of those are preservatives, which is why they get put in there to kind of just make it last longer. Because obviously, if you just bought cream, it would be off within a couple of weeks. Probably last a while, but yeah.
But
it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that the cream, the coffee cream I had some extra sugars in it. So I'm like, I don't want extra sugars in my cream. I want cream.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is one of the biggest like simple tips that I would give people if they're interested in starting to, eat a bit better, is to look at the label of a food. And number one, if it's got a label, it's probably not going to be very good for you, because a lot of whole foods don't need a label because it's a banana or it's a vegetable of some sort. If it's got a label, then if there are ingredients on there that you don't find in a normal kitchen, that you would not find in your kitchen, or that you don't recognize the name of, it's probably what we call an ultra processed food. And ultra processed foods generally, like you mentioned, disrupt the body's normal metabolism, and so that is going to create some sort of imbalance in the body over time. One off is fine. If you're eating like one packet of M&Ms a month or something, it's not a problem.
Right.
But, or even a week, it's not a problem. But,
Yeah.
if you're eating these foods day in, day out, and you're having multiple like ultra processed foods in a day, then that is when you're going to start seeing these issues happening. And we're seeing it in children. Like, children are suffering with fatty liver disease, they're suffering with type 2 diabetes, they're being put on statins. Like, wake up, like, this, something is wrong with our system that this is happening.
Yeah, so not only that, but the rise in ADD, ADHD, autism, and even if it's on the lower spectrum, the rise in all of this is associated 100% with the foods that we are feeding our children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right down to there's certain dyes in foods. And for any of the parents watching in, I did this with my kids, and I started paying attention to red dye 40 is a big one. Here anyways, but pay attention to the red dyes, the blue dyes. Remove them from your kids' diets or limit them, and watch their behavior. That was
exactly
such a key piece. Even just removing red dye is in so much. Even like tomatoes, the tomatoes that we buy, everyone's like, "Ooh, I want the big plumpy red one." No, you don't, because
watch out.
Those have been injected.
Get the organic ones is fine, but exactly.
And just it's funny when you start learning these things and you start to pay attention to what is actually out there and what we are actually being fed. One, you'll be disgusted, because once you actually start paying attention, you're like, they put this out for us to eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's learning, and then getting to be, and does it cost a little bit more sometimes? Yeah, because they don't want you to spend more, because they want to keep you in that sick cycle, right?
And that's another big misconception as well, is that like, eating healthily is expensive. Like, what's expensive is like spending 13 years of your life at the end of your life suffering with a disease that means you can't move around and you can't live with freedom. That's like, there's nothing more valuable than our time and our lifetime, and this idea of it being expensive is such a short-term view. Like, if you can just spend a tiny bit more money, it's not even much more money, and actually if you can cook and eat in a certain way, you can eat very cheaply and eat whole foods and really nourish your body and your family well as well. Even if you've got a big family, ultra processed foods are expensive if you're buying for 4 or 5 people. And you can easily make these things, much cheaper, like a pizza, for example. Like you mentioned pizza earlier, and a bag of flour. I mean, I don't know, you could probably make like 20 pizzas with that. And that costs what? I don't know, in America, what does that cost? $3, $4, something like that. Maybe in the UK, it's probably £2.
I think I just paid $6 because I make my own bread. I don't buy bread anymore. I make my own bread. So a bag of bread flour just cost me about $6, I think. But it's going to make so
and it's still so much cheaper, and it's fun as well. Like, if you've got kids, one of the best ways to get them to eat a healthy diet is to get them cooking with you and see that you enjoy it, role model the enjoyment that you get from creating healthy food. And then, they will love it as well. And even if they, maybe reject that for a time in their teenage years, which most kids do, they will still have that as their background and their foundation. So they'll be able to go back to it as adults. And it really changes their relationship with food.
And it changes your relationship with your kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're in there. So I've noticed, and like, I've been eating this way 8 years now. So when my daughter was born is when I went back to school for nutrition, because I wanted to learn how to properly lose weight. So it's not a diet, it's a way of eating and a way of living. And I know carbs do not agree with, I love carbs, they do not agree with my body. I get slowed down and sluggish and bloated, and it's inflammation.
Do you mean refined carbs or like all carbs?
Most like bread and like white rice and
like more refined stuff. Basically.
Does not even, but I've noticed, like, I make bread and it's okay because it's not full of all of these extra ingredients. It's yeast, bread flour, and water, and that is it.
Yeah,
right? Um,
exactly. Yeah.
but the kids love being a part of it. Last week, so I have my kids every other week. Last week, I was making bread because I make bread for my oldest for his school lunches. We made banana bread, and my middle child is in the kitchen with me, helping me make everything. He wanted to
Yeah.
help. I'm like, perfect. He
Yeah,
made us
definitely.
dinner last night. We had
Oh,
bacon and eggs.
that's
We kept
so
it
nice.
simple, but he made it. He wanted to do everything. You
Yeah,
know, my
yeah.
oldest is 15 and he has been coming in. I'll be making dinner. He comes into the kitchen and he helps.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, and that's what I grew up with. I was quite lucky, but there are a lot of people out there that haven't grown up with that. But it doesn't mean that you can't start doing that with your children. Like if you have this awareness, if you're watching this now and you're
Yeah.
thinking, "Oh my God, like this is something that I could start doing," and it gives your kids like a sense of responsibility as
Yeah.
well and independence. I used to work at an international school in Bangkok when I was teaching, and in Asia, a lot of the like Western families, they have like a maid, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the kids have grown up with a maid, and they have never ever cooked anything in their life. And I remember the head of year, he was the head of year 13, year 12 at the time, so just before they leave to go to university, and he said, I'm really worried about them because they don't have any life skills.
Yeah.
They're going to school and they're learning all this amazing information, but they are not learning how to cook an egg, or
Yeah.
make a tomato sauce for pasta, or any of these kind of basic skills. And that's a real failure of education, I think,
Yeah.
actually, is that we're not preparing children for life. We're preparing them for
Yeah.
work to keep them in the system, but we're not preparing them for life and to think outside the box and all these
Yeah.
kind of things. So yeah, it's all related for
Yeah.
sure.
It is. And the more that, we can do and learn and teach them. I never grew up in the kitchen with my mom, but now
Mm.
it's, they're in there with me and it's a
Yeah,
great
exactly.
thing going. And, we have made homemade pizza before and they
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah, yeah,
It's
it's so much fun. It
Yeah,
really is.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Usually I will buy the frozen pizzas when it's just me,
Mm.
because it's an easy Friday night. Yeah, okay, let's throw this in and we're gonna just
Yeah,
relax.
yeah,
But
and that's fine.
it's
Doing that
that's
occasionally is
it.
fine.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, and
it's
you've got to be realistic as well. Life is busy. Like we have a lot of time at work. We're doing the school run, whatever else, and there sometimes isn't time to cook food. And so those times, yeah, get something convenient,
yeah,
but like do it with awareness. Do it with like, okay, so today we're doing this, but I'm going to make sure tomorrow night we have blah blah blah. Something healthy, and have a balance. Like it doesn't need to be all or nothing,
yeah,
and that's very important to remember. It's not, we're not saying you have to be like a saint with food. It's just educate
yeah.
yourself. Work with somebody that knows about food so that they can help you to learn, get through all the confusion that's out there, because there's so much confusion out there around nutrition.
And it's about not feeling
Yeah,
guilty. So if you are busy every night, yeah, my last week was crazy, but you plan ahead.
exactly.
You make sure everything is ready to go and easy. Last Tuesday I knew I had to be at hockey for a certain time. So I put chili in the slow cooker in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That way we had a nice dinner
Yeah,
before my middle child and I had to leave, and the other two stayed home and they got to eat when they wanted to.
yeah,
And
exactly.
it's just about planning. But then, if you do go get something that's quick, don't put a guilt trip on yourself for it. You're
No,
human. You're allowed to.
exactly. Yeah,
It's not that
yeah,
you're falling back into an old habit or pattern, as long as you don't allow it to become
yeah,
that old habit or pattern. Because
yeah,
it
exactly.
takes a while to get used to doing something new and
Yeah.
creating that new way of eating and
Mm.
just building up the habit.
Yeah, and the more you choose something different, the easier that then
Yeah.
becomes. So your previous automatic, behavior
Yeah.
becomes less automatic because you're replacing it. And that's the theory of neuroplasticity. And that's so interesting because, we all have this ability to change the way that we use our brains.
Yeah.
We can create new connections all the time. And, just choosing a different thing once,
Yeah.
you feel like, yes, well done me, and then you've got to keep doing it. You've got to be
Yeah.
consistent, and that really does make a big difference. And then you look back and you think, oh my God, I can't believe I used to do that. I've
Yeah.
got clients that are like, I can't believe I used to put sugar in my tea, like it's
Right?
disgusting now.
Yeah.
And little basic things like that, make a huge difference to your health.
Yeah.
So
I
we can
remember.
change.
Yeah, you can. I used to
Yeah,
drink 2 sugars in my coffee, and I made the decision to go down to none.
yeah,
And I've
Yeah.
been, I can't touch sugar now. If my mom ordered, she brought coffee yesterday to hockey, and she's like, one of them has sweetener. Both of ours were labeled the same. Like, well, I can tell you in 2 seconds which one has the sweetener. But I can't,
Yeah.
I didn't even have to open hers. There was a little bit on the top, and I just sipped it. I'm like, yep, that's yours. Because you can taste, like, I taste it now, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you become very sensitive to things. And
Yeah.
when, when you do change your diet and you cut out these kind of like convenience foods and things that are with highly sort of processed sugar and
Yeah.
stuff like that, you find them very, very strong in flavor in terms of sweetness now, or salt or whatever it is, if you go back to them. And it also changes your gut microbiome when
Yeah.
when you start eating different food. And that's also like determining your taste buds and your cravings and things like
Yeah.
that. So you really kind of, it's harder to go backwards actually once you
Yeah.
start and you do it for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. After that point, actually going back,
Yeah.
you kind of can't in a way, because you know too much by then, and you're like, well, now
You
I can
know
do
too
it, but I
much.
know there's something better. Yeah.
You know too much. You're starting to see the results. You feel the results. Something as simple as, your face breaking out. For years,
Yeah.
my face would break out so easily. And I've got breakouts right now because I ate my kids' Halloween candy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, it's catching up to me. Because I'm like, why am I breaking out all of a sudden? Because I ate their candy. And
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it
That
catches
happens to
up,
me.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. Like I eat dark chocolate now because I just actually prefer it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I eat like other chocolate now, I definitely notice my skin is not as good. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely the food.
Yeah.
Your body is like so clever as well. It will literally give you all these signals.
Yeah.
If it's not happy with a certain food, it will tell you
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And when you go through, so in my program, the detox period particularly,
Yeah.
that phase is a phase where you develop quite a high sensitivity to what food feels like in your body. So you're kind of, cleansing it with all these sort of very, they're foods that actually enhance the body's natural detoxification processes. So, because the body's always detoxing
Mhm.
itself. And so when you finish that process, you then start introducing other foods again, and you are very sensitive to how they feel.
Yeah.
Like, does it actually make you feel, do you like the taste of it, first of all? Does it feel good in your stomach? Does it feel good in your body? Like, can you feel it in your, can you feel the energy? Like, how does it feel? And that is a very important part of the whole process of change. And noticing that, your body's actually very clever and very wise. And we're pretty much trained to cut ourselves off from here to our body.
Yeah.
This is what we should listen to. The mind is everything. The body doesn't know anything, but it's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
In my experience, the body is the wise thing. The mind is the thing that tricks you and gets you into all sorts of trouble. So yeah, if you can kind of reconnect with your body, whether that's through meditation, exercise, yoga, eating, however you do that, like that's also a very important thing to do as well, is reconnect with it and listen to it as
Yeah.
well, and know what it's telling
Yeah.
you. Because if you do listen, you'll
Yeah.
know. Your intuition is
It's
there.
yeah. It's getting out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
This just for those listening in, these steps literally can transform your life alone. Just watching how you're fueling your body, getting out of your head, and all of the things that you've been told to do. What's your body telling you to do? Stop
Yeah.
overthinking it. Just listen, and it gets to be so powerful.
Yeah, 100%. It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have a freebie that you have given me the link to. Can
Yes.
you just share with our audience a little bit about that? I am going to link it in the caption when we get off the call.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I've basically put together a 3-day detox. So I this is part of what I do with clients at the beginning of the program, and it's the 3 days is just a short kind of introduction, really, to what it might feel like to remove these kind of ultra processed convenience foods from your diet and replace them with more whole foods and plant-based foods. And really, it's just an opportunity to press reset, because if you just remove those foods and replace them, and also it gives you a sort of taste of what intermittent fasting is like as well, because there's a little bit of that in there. And it also introduces you to a few little recipes that I really love and my clients love, and I hope that you will love too. So yeah, and it's just an introduction to what it might be like to work with me as well, and the way that I like to work with my clients. And there's a little special offer on there if somebody books a call with me too, they get a 10% discount on my program. So
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things in there. And I
Awesome.
also offer a 30-minute like consultation as part of that, 3 days, just if somebody wants to kind of talk about what's happening in their body, sensations they're feeling, anything like that. They've got a link on there. They can book a call with me and we can just have a 30-minute chat about that.
Perfect. So I will link that in the caption.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As well as your information. So if anyone is resonating with this episode and they do want to dive deeper, not just from your freebie, but with you, then they can connect with you and reach out to you as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've truly enjoyed this episode. It has been so good. For anyone who is jumping in and catching the replay, if you have any questions or want to chime in, drop it in the comments. Let us know. We are here to respond and have a conversation with you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.